Hey everyone, you're listening to 5 Years Time with your host, Grace Black. Okay, I think we're good. We've got the camera on, we got the recorder going. Is this happening for real? I guess so. Hey everyone, Grace here. Welcome back to 5 Years Time, Season 2, baby. Who is excited? Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Now, for all my podcast listeners out there, you might not know this, but we're also recording this. How exciting, over on YouTube. And you know what? I'm not sure where I should look. I'm so used to recording without recording like video that I'm just not totally sure where I should look. Should I look at the camera? Well, I also have my show notes, so I'll have to look at those every so often. But I'm so excited to be here. So let's kick it off. Okay, guys, welcome back. Welcome back. 5 years' time has gone through. Let's just get the elephant out of the room. The elephant out of the room? Whatever the phrase is. We've gone through a bit of a transitional period over our break, and we've had a facelift, and we've refreshed ourselves. And that being said, it's a one-woman show now. So I will be your host moving forwards, just me, Grace. We wish LK all the best in her future endeavors and everything that she has going on and all that. We love her, we support her, we appreciate her. So moving on. Hey, I'm so excited to be here. I cannot wait to get started. I mean, we're started, but I feel during this break, I've just been so passionate and inspired and just had so much creativity all around the thoughts of the podcast. One big thing that I wanted to do is implement a video section. So here we are. We're going to try it out. It'll only get better from here, guys. This is the first time. So bear with me. And each week we will improve and you can share your feedback. And I will have lots of notes for myself too. You are always your harshest critic. But thank you so much for being here. So I guess I just want to move on into saying that I should reintroduce myself. Since this is the beginning of season 2, episode 1, I just think I should throw it out there, who I am, what I'm about, and introduce myself. So hey everyone, I'm Grace. I'm a woman, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a friend, and I'm so much more. I'm a natural oversharer and a natural overthinker. So naturally, a podcast is where I should be to share and overthink. But yeah, I come with lots of different things in my background, and I've gone through lots of different experiences, as everyone has, and I go through a lot of, I called it overthinking, but I want to say it's reflection. And I learn a lot from my reflection. And you know what? I learn even more when I open up to other people and I get to hear what they have to say. So, yeah, that's a little bit about me. I have a daughter. Her name is Rosie. She's turning 2 in February. I have a husband. His name is Trevor, and he helps us out over here at 5 Years Time. He does all the sound mixing. So, thank you, Trevor, so much. And yeah, we just live our life together as a little family, enjoying every moment. And I'm here to share the ride. So thanks for being here. And I look forward to getting to know you. And obviously, you will learn lots more about me throughout this podcast. That being said, I feel like that was my transition last time. So that being said, again, as the podcast grows, so does our format. So I've been thinking a lot, how can I switch this up, make it feel funky fresh? And here I am to let you know what the new format is of the podcast. So coming into 2022, I really reflected on the beauty of 5 years time and what were the highlights and what I really wanted to focus on for this year. At the end of each episode, I'm going to be doing, well, I guess we should start at the beginning. So how I'm thinking this format should work is that we come in and we have our little talks, our catch-ups, and our conversations. And then the big meat of the podcast will be a learning from the week. Something that I've learned this past week that I want to share with all of you, or something that has really stood out in my heart and my head, or that has come back as a life lesson. Because life lessons come 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sometimes more times than that before they really stick. And each time you learn something new. So just something that I've learned that I can come and bring and share with you guys. And that being said, they will also be having guests still, and they'll come with their lessons and learnings and conversations, and it'll be a really beautiful thing. And then we'll transition into our entertainment recap, because I love my entertainment. That's where I'll recap on what shows I'm watching, books I'm reading, music I'm enjoying, anything like that, movies, etc. And of course, we're going to bring back our session of roses, thuds, thorns, and buds, because I really do think it is important to sit back and open up about what are your highs, your lows, and what you're looking forward to. If I've learned anything, it's that reflection may seem overrated, but it is where the heart of growth and conversation come from. I'm trying to become a better conversationalist, and I feel like the more questions we ask others that are truly about how and who they are, the more we get out of a conversation and the more connection we create. So it's a good one to bring into any networking, etc. Also, I keep hitting my lip on the microphone, and I'm wearing lipstick, and I'm worried that it's getting all over my face, but you guys will let me know. It's okay if I look silly. I normally just talk from my heart for a lot of these, but I had a few weeks to really think about what I wanted to say. So I've written down a bunch of stuff, and now I'm feeling like a little bit tied to this, but I'm feeling awkward about that, like tied to my notes, but I'm feeling awkward about that because I'm recording this and I don't want it to seem like I'm just reading off things. But I promise you, this was my heart coming out onto paper. I'm going to get better as we go on, working between if I want to do notes and talking to the mic and talking to the camera and all that. So thank you for being patient with me. But I want to just say that at the base of everything, this podcast is about connecting through conversation. And especially in these times where we don't get to necessarily connect face to face, I just really wanted this to be a place where we can come together and we can feel heard and seen, and also we can share new and interesting perspectives and opinions. And that will always be at the base of what this podcast is and why I come here to do this. And it's a two-way street. So I really want to have as much audience participation this year, and having you on as guests or having you share stories or feedback, all of that. And so that being said, I'm going to be having a feedback link to a Google Forms in our show notes every single episode, where you can go and you can share anything you want. There'll be some prompt questions, but there'll also be a box where you can just share whatever you want, and just any feedback you have, or any stories you want to share, or anything. Seriously, anything, just put it in there, because we're all about growth over here. So feedback helps us to grow and give you guys what you want, while also honoring what my idea for the podcast is. So that'll be in the show notes. I'll remind you, of course, later, and it'll be there every episode. So always, if you're listening and you're like, oh, this really irks me, then you can just go down there and write whatever you want. Or like, oh, that really resonated with me. Or, oh, I went through something similar, or whatever. Feel free to put it there. And it'll be anonymous. And you can choose if you want it to be anonymous, or you can obviously share your details if you want as well. But your details will not be shared with anybody unless you specifically say, like, I really want to be shared. Okay, so with all that being said, let's jump into session 2. We have taken care of the housekeeping, swept. And as I say that, I'm literally staring at a giant basket of laundry that I need to, put away. But we've taken care of the podcast housekeeping. So let's wrap that up and let's jump in to the podcast. So this episode is, this week I learned, why 5 years time? Okay, this week I learned, why 5 years time? While planning out the 2020 year, I was sitting down, doing a lot of reflection over the past year of the podcast, why I wanted to start a podcast, what was my hope for the podcast, what people have felt and told me resonated with them in the podcast, and why did I call it 5 years time? Well, you know what? There was a reason, and I sat down and I wrote out the reason, and it gave me even more, or it gave the podcast even more power, and it gave me even more like of an aha moment as to like why this podcast exists and why I'm doing this and why I get the feelings I get when I do this podcast, and why sometimes I get uncomfy when sharing too much. Not necessarily when I'm saying it, but I will get nervous if I'm posting something and I feel like my heart is open. But I think it's important to put our heart on our sleeves out there and be open. And why I get those feelings, like it really is all wrapped up in why this podcast is called 5 years time and who I am. So today I'm sharing a story about how we've come here and why we've become 5 years time and why I chose this name. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. And I did write it down, so I will be reading probably it, but I'll also obviously speak from my heart. This is from my heart, I swear, guys. I swear. I literally wrote this from my heart. I was getting like, not emotional, but feeling feels when I was writing it. So 5 years time is my all-time favorite song. Okay, guys. So 5 years time is a song. And it's by a band called Noah and the Whale, which is my favorite band. And the saddest thing ever is that they are no longer together. And they're no longer making music under the title of 5 years time, or 5 years time. They're no longer making music under the title of Noah and the Whale. Independently, maybe they're making music working with other people, but the band does not exist anymore, and it's very sad. Actually, side note, so funny. One April Fool's, Trevor had messaged me saying, "Oh, 5 years time released a new album," and I was like so hyped. And then I like went to look it up, and then there was news that said they broke up. And I said to Trevor, like, what the heck? First of all, okay, that's not a funny April Fool's, because, like, you're trying to tell me that they put out new music, but they actually broke up. And he's like, what are you talking about? They broke up. He didn't know anything about it. He just thought he was being, like, funny. Like, they put out new music. I was going to find out they didn't put out new music. Like, no big deal. But they actually decided to announce that they broke up and that they were no longer making music together on April Fool's, like April 1st, which is hilarious. I don't know if they're a British band, so I don't know if that's a thing in the UK, but just funny coincidence. And then just funny coincidence that Trevor decided to pretend that new music was coming out. It was an emotional day for me, but that's a funny side note. So anyways, 5 years time is my favorite song by my favorite band called Noah and the Whale. So they left behind a place of comfort for me, even though they're no longer together. Like their discography is a place that I go when I am in all different types of feelings, but there's a specific mood that I can get into and put on their music, and it just transports me to a place of comfort. And so a little bit about why it's my favorite song and why they're my favorite band. The summer before my dad passed away, myself and him had been at a Sunrise record. Does anyone remember Sunrise record? Do they still exist? I'm not sure. Kind of like an HMV. And we were rummaging through the $5 record bins, the big bins where they just like put all the leftover music that they're trying to get rid of for $5. And the album Peaceful the World Lays Me Down by 5 years time. But oh my gosh, why do I keep saying by 5 years time? By Noah and the Whale had popped up. And, it had a fun album cover. I remember it was purple and I think like a bunch of different colors, and it had fun cartoony lettering, and it just looked like a fun album. So it definitely stuck out. And, when I was going through those bins, I was just looking for fun looking things. It's like when you go through books and you're judging books by the cover. I was judging an album by its cover. Anyways, so we decided this was the winner. We were going to get it. We went back to the car and we popped in the CD, and the first song to play was Two Atoms and a Molecule, which is a bright ballad that gets you tapping your foot and bopping your head right away. Such a fun song. we thought right away we struck a winner. This is an album that we can listen to and have a good time. And boy, were we right. The songs continued, and eventually we got to the track that was really sat with us, which was called 5 Years Time. It was bright, it was fun, it was bubbly, and it was meaningful. It was a really fun song, and it still is a really fun song. And we probably played that album for at least a few weeks on repeat, nothing else. And that being said, we definitely played it for the next coming months over and over again. And continuing into my adult life, I still love that album. I remember we showed it to my mom and we all had so much fun and we were singing in the car and it was just such a fun thing and it was such a fun song. So I did, on a positive note, get to see Noah and the Whale live before the breakup in Toronto, and it was one of the best days of my life, and I went with my best friend Neela, and it was so fun. And it was one of those things where I'd never really connected with music the way that I connected with this album, because not only was it a beautiful way to find new music and it was an exciting time and it was a really fun summer, like that summer was one of the best summers. And I did it with my dad, and it was one of the last really meaningful and happy moments that I was able to have with him. So I had never connected with music this way before, and it was just really powerful that I got to see them in person, and even more so now that I know that I won't get to see them in person again. So I'm just happy that I fully embraced Noah and the Whale and went all out stanhood and went and saw them in concert. So that is a highlight. Anyways, it was truly a night to remember. When I listened to Noah and the Whale and when I listened to 5 Years Time, I transport to a time of pure bliss. Like, it's this weird thing. Music is so beautiful that it can just take you places like scent and sound, but well, sound is music. But I do like fully immerse myself in a place that I remember being, and this album was a big part of me, a big part of my life during a transformation that really made me who I was today. The albums they released after Peaceful, The World Lays Me Down, they were transformative as well for me. And Noah and the Whale walked me through a lot of growth. They held my hand when I was down, and they picked me up and supported all of those feelings that I was feeling, especially as a teenager and going through grief and going through love and friendships and growth and all of those things. This album was really there, and this band was there carrying me through all of this. I'm thankful that I decided to name this podcast that. Like, I know that I did it at that time because I thought it was an interesting concept. Like, who was I 5 years ago and who will I be in 5 years' time, and how that's a really often question that you get asked, like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Like, I definitely knew that, but now looking back, it's like, wow, 5 years time to me was something that connected with me, and it grew me, and it supported me. And that's what I want for this podcast. I want to connect with you, and I want to be here to grow with you, and I want to be here to support you. And I just think, like, I really had a full circle moment there, especially when I was writing this. Like, I looked back and I was reading it, and I described 5 years time. I just wrote this one off. Like, I didn't go through and edit it or anything. I just wrote straight from my heart, put it out on paper. And I described 5 years time, the song, as bright, fun, bubbly, and meaningful. And like, that's what I aspire to describe this podcast is bright, fun, bubbly, and meaningful. Like, that's what I aspire to describe my life as. And it's just one of those full circle moments where a year later now, I've discovered that this podcast not only is something that I've always wanted to do, and it's been the most amazing year of my life doing it. And I'm so excited moving into 2022 that it's just one of those things where, yeah, full circle moment that now I'm going in even more not centralized, but like more tunnel vision on the meaning and the reason and the fire that is behind me and this podcast. So this week I learned why 5 years time, and you learned it too. So thanks for for listening in, and I hope that that gave you a little bit of a sense of why this podcast is called what it is, what my purpose here is, what my hope for us is, and I guess a little taste into my growing up. I'm sorry if that was like weird. I was like reading and also talking and losing my spot, but hopefully it sounded okay. Again, this is just the beginning of season 2. There's growth to be had, so we will get better and better. But yeah, that's what I learned this week. Okay, now we are going to do our roses, our thorns, our buds. Okay, guys, my rose has just been the past few weeks being off from the podcast. We've just been hanging out at home. Rosie's been on holiday break. Trevor's been off work. I've been a mix of off and on, but I've been working from home, so that's been nice. But just, you know what? Slow mornings have been so beautiful. Slow mornings with the family. It's been so nice. We've just been waking up, spending time together, playing, hanging out, sipping coffee, eating breakfast, just being so chill, you know? And it's been so nice. And I think we've been really utilizing our living room, which last year, this time, I think we didn't have furniture. We just got furniture. We didn't have furniture. I think we had furniture in February. So we hadn't had furniture yet. Anyways, so we weren't able to use our living room. So we didn't really have anywhere to sit on our main floor besides the like stools at the counter, which aren't like a loungy spot. So it's just been so nice to utilize the living room, be sitting in here. I made the decision that I didn't want to have a TV in our living room. We have lots of TVs. Don't worry, I watch TV. I'm not a TV judger. But I just didn't want one in my living room because I wanted it to be a place of conversation and hanging out and, you know, getting out of screen time and really like bringing people together. And that's exactly what it's been. We've just been in here hanging out, making forts. I'm looking at a fort right now. I took down the Christmas tree and I put Rosie's like table and some toys and activities and stuff. So I've just really made it a homely place to be. So that's been my rose, is slow mornings with the family. And my thorn is more restrictions, of course, as the pandemic goes on and restrictions become tighter, and not able to see family for the holidays was hard, because I think it was hard because we had the expectation that we were going to see them. Like last year when we didn't get to see them, it was easier because we didn't have that plan and we like honed in on what we were going to do as a family, just the three of us. But this year it was like, oh, we were fully going to go and see family and do Christmas, and not getting to do it was harder. And so just more restrictions and not getting to see people with that, trying to fill our time and do things in the winter is always hard. So thankfully it's been snowy the past couple days, so we've been getting out and tobogganing and playing in the snow, which has been nice. My bud is being back on the mic and what's in store for 5 years time for 2022. I'm just so excited to be back here, feeling better than ever. And I'm so happy to have you guys along for the ride. And this is our year. This is our year. Every year is our year because all we have is the life we live. So we've got to really support it and love it and hope the best for it. So yeah, that's our rose, thorns, and bud for this week. Okay, entertainment recap. Entertainment recap. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Hopefully, I come up with some better transition songs than me just singing. So guys, I haven't had much to watch because over Christmas break, I feel like there's like all the shows have ended. Winter seasons haven't begun. It's not there's that much to watch. I will say I did watch the Bachelorette finale, and I was very disappointed. And then I always think like it's not my place to be disappointed. And I know that, guys, it's her love, it's her relationship. But just for me, like not the way that I would want it to go. So like I'm happy for her, but ultimately I was disappointed. I could not stop rolling my eyes at the end of that episode. Like every time I saw Nate, I was like, like, I was just so, there's no words to describe it. And I feel like a lot of people felt that way, but what can you do? What can you do? So I did watch the end of The Bachelorette. Okay, so I have been watching Love Island. So Love Island obviously isn't on now. Why am I singing it? I'm sorry, guys. If you hate that, let me know, please. Because it's a hard thing for me to stop doing. But I will do it for you. Anyways, I have a friend who loves Love Island. I love Love Island too. I've only watched this past season this summer, season 7, UK version. And so my girlfriend was like, "Oh my gosh, Love Island is so good. You need to watch. Like, she rewatches it all the time." And I was like, "I never even thought to do that." So guys, I subscribe to Hey You, which is like a platform of only reality TV. So I'm officially a reality TV junkie. I've been saying that for a long time, but I'm officially really a reality TV junkie. I still haven't got into Real Housewives, but now I have them all at my fingertips. So if I feel like it, I could start. But what I have chosen to do is rewatch Love Island. So I asked her what the best season to watch, and her sister both agreed that season 5 was the best for drama, couples, just everything. And I am here to attest that it is delectable. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. It's fun to watch it this way because I'm able to watch like more than one episode at a time, because in the summer it comes out every single night, and I was very good at every night watching it. It was like my hug at the end of the day, a hug of watching Love Island. I loved it. Sometimes I'd have like maybe 1 or 2 episodes I would watch at a time, but now it's like I can watch 3 or 4, or okay, I'm not going to expose myself too much, but I can watch a lot at a time. So I've been really enjoying that. It's been nice to have it back in my life. So that's been going good. I think I'm like probably halfway through. That's the thing. There's so many episodes, and honestly, the Hey You app like itself sucks. Like its interface sucks. The way that it works sucks. It's just not good, but it does it okay. Like it gives me the entertainment that I want to watch, but the app isn't that good. So it's hard to like see everything at a glance, if that makes sense. I finished my first book of 2022, which was Daisy Jones and the Six by Tyler Jenkins Reid. Taylor. Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Wow, that's a mouthful. Anyways, moving on. So I finished my book, and it was really nice read. It's all in dialogue. It's all written in dialogue, and that made it a really easy read. And it is placed in the 70s. It's about a rock and roll band, and I guess it would be about 2 main hotheads who believe they are really good in their craft. Well, they both are. They believe it, and they are really good in their craft, and they both come together to create this band. Well, they didn't choose to come together, but people in the industry put them together. The Six was Billy's band, and Daisy was a singer, and they have now come together, and it is about their journey of making music and being rock and roll and dealing with relationships in their own life, relationships with the band, and there's just enough drama and love affair and addiction. I don't know. There's just like every time you turn a corner, there's a little more and there's a little more. Like I felt like I didn't know fully where the story was going, which I liked. Like I liked being surprised. So it was really good, and it was a nice read. So I recommend it. Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. That being said, I got a new Kobo for Christmas, which I'm so thankful about. And it is amazing because, first of all, it is backlit. And I feel like that's a positive. So I was saying that that's a negative or a positive because I can read before bed and not have to have a lamp on. And then I can also read like just basically I can read anywhere, and it can be dark, and I don't have to have like a light on, which I love. And I love a Kobo because you can like lay down and read, so it's nice. I can read before bed. But I feel like it's a negative because like for some reason I've been like waking up every morning at like, or I've been waking up in the middle of the night, and I feel like it's subconsciously because I just want to read myself back to sleep. Because I'll like go to bed, I'll like fall asleep holding my book, and I'm like at a really good part, and then I'll like go to sleep, put my book away. And then it's like I wake up at 2 a.m. and I'm like, okay, I'll just read a little bit more now that I can because I don't have to turn a lamp on. But I don't know. We'll see if that's the real reason. But also I've been able to read when I wake up first thing and just like don't want to get out of bed yet. Oh, it's been a beautiful thing. Oh, and I can flip the pages at a normal pace. Like before, my Kobo was so slow, I would have to like calculate how long it would take me to read, like maybe the last chapter, and I'd have to press it like just as I got to the last chapter because it would take me the time. By the time I got to the end of that chapter, the page would finally flip. So if I didn't like do that, then I'd be sitting for like 30 seconds waiting for the page to flip, which is just annoying when you're reading a book. So anyways, just excited about that. And then what else have I been watching? Honestly, really not much. And I'm going to start another book. I'm not sure. I haven't decided yet. I just finished my book this morning. So I think I have a bunch. I got a bunch. I had like my whole list and I just like got them all because I was like, I just want to be ready to jump into another one. So probably be maybe a romance. Who knows? We'll see. I'll decide. You'll find out next week. And then also I made a playlist for you guys because I've been really into making Spotify playlists. Like I normally just like my songs and then I play my liked playlist. But then like your liked playlist has so many different vibes on it, you know what I mean? And like there is a time for it, of course, when you put it on shuffle and you can get to go through all the vibes. You're like, oh my God, I love that song. Oh my God, I love that song. Oh my God, I love that song. But I'm now like deciding that there's different moods and there's different times and there's different things. So I've been making playlists. So I made a playlist so you guys can check it out. 5 years time playlist, and I'll have it linked in the show notes. But yeah, that's basically what I've been watching. What have you guys been watching? I haven't been on Netflix in a while. Oh, we watched with Rosie Taro. What am I saying? Totoro. And it honestly, I loved that movie. It was so good. I thought it like had a really sweet message. And Rosie is obsessed with Totoro. And Totoro goes rawr, and she goes rawr. Anyways, it was so cute, and so we've watched that a lot. But that's been a really good one too. And I think adults like it as well. Like I enjoyed it, so you can watch it as well. So that is the entertainment recap. Okay, guys, I guess that brings us to the end of the podcast. I just want to say thank you so much for listening and all the love and support. It means so much to me. And sharing on Instagram that we were having this transition into me being a host. Like, thank you so much for all the support and kind messages. Like, means so much. And I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for letting me open up about why 5 years time is 5 years time and where I want the podcast to go and following us or me along that journey, I guess. Also, you can follow us on Instagram. I don't know if I should say us because it's technically me and Trevor, but it's just me. You can follow 5 Years Time Podcast on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and YouTube and Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And please, please, please don't forget to rate or review us. I believe on Spotify you can give us a star rating, and then on Apple Podcasts you can do stars, and then you can also write something. It really helps the growth of the podcast, and it means the world to me. So please, please don't forget to do that. Thank you so much. And the feedback forum will be in the show notes. All the links to our socials will be in the show notes. And you can leave any feedback. I appreciate it. This podcast is for all of us. So anything you have to say, I am here to listen. As you listen to me, I listen to you. So thank you so much. So excited and can't wait to come back next week and do it all again. Okay. Have a great day. Bye, everyone.